So the next, so we'll begin next new module, which is for third module, Unit 3. In Unit 3, mainly we were covering. So in Unit first, again we will see them in part. Okay. So we cover them in a parts like Unit 3, we have 1, 2, 3, something like that. In part A, like one, I would say we were going to discuss about wireless LAN standards. So with respect to our physical layer and data link layer, what was the standard we been using? Okay. So that is your next one part. One part means a small chapter in your third unit. In the next chapter, we will discuss uh, uh, so something layer to device, specifically understanding and we'll also will discuss some of the switching concept like what is virtual LAN and all those things. These are another small. And the next in that unit will be starting discussing about
Sir, voice is breaking, sir.
yes, actually I disconnect. I'll just connect now. Is it audible? Is it audible now? Okay. And then in this chapter also we will start discussing in detail about your network layer. Okay. So this from this chapter and next chapter, somewhat first we will discuss wireless LAN standard. Then we will look at some of these networking devices like routers, switches, and its internal structures or internal architecture, hardware architecture. And we will look at something with respect to switching, what is called spanning tree and what is called VLANs. All these things we will discuss. So then after we will next layer called network layer. Okay, network layer again will come back and we'll understand what is IP address, classless, classful. So I'm not going to again in detail get into that part. So something I already explained, subnetting and supernetting. Supernetting I would explain, but subnetting I'll try to explain, but I'm not going to solve any much problem because I already been given to you what is called FLSM, VLSM. I'll try to give much problems that you try to solve yourself. If you're not able to do that, then you can ask. Otherwise, if I would try to solve that problems by taking different methods, different problems, probably it may take lots of time. Since we would already know how to do and how to configure a network, probably I think you may do whatever the rest of the set of problems I will give you in later classes. Okay. So assuming that, I'll try to cover this unit as much as possible soon. Okay. So, but I will not leave any of this topic. Every topic will be included, and I'm going to explain them. If you're confused or if you don't understand at any point, you can ask. So we'll start your third module. Third module is your third unit. Here, first we were discussing about wireless LAN because we were not talking that yet. Simply, we were talking so far is wired Ethernet interface like what you call LAN cable and all. So we were not talked about wireless. Okay. So nowadays, if you go and see any of these organization networks, okay, it's actually an hybrid. Hybrid in sense it combines both the wired and the wireless, isn't it? So because the wireless communication is one of the fastest growing technology presently. Okay. The demand of connecting devices without using a cables are increasing every time, everywhere. Okay. So because what is the disadvantage in wired? So in wired network, you should go there wherever the possible like the option is there to connect to a network, and you have to take an LAN cable and you have to connect your PC with that. Right? But you don't after you connected to that network, you don't have an option to move from that point to some other place. If you would have from both a place a connection, network connection, probably you may change, but the thing is what if you don't have to which place that you move, if you don't have the network option there, network connection, probably you will not get that network back. So probably what you can say in our network cases network, if you would see, you would have both wired network as well as the wireless. Okay. So what I would like to say here is just an access network. It's not a core network. It's just an access network which where it gives a connection to our handheld mobile to the network to access. That's it. It's an radio access network. So you use a radio frequency uh, from your device to get connect to our network device. Okay, network device here at this point, which helps to provide this network connectivity. Okay, today if you go and see anywhere in metro station or any college or any other organization, some office, something like that, everywhere if you go, you will see wireless LAN. Not only there, your home itself now you would see wireless. You itself go and buy a router and you put it in your home so that every devices in your home you could be able to connect. But what was the disadvantage in wired? You could only connect few of them. What how much port that you would available in your modem? You could connect either 3 to 4 is maximum, isn't it? Go beyond that because it has a limited number of ports so that you would connect wherever that is necessary. Either you may connect your PC or you may connect your uh, what you call voice voice phone, or it could be you can connect to your television, something like that. So wherever you have this Ethernet option or port, you would be able to connect them if you would have only a wired LAN. If you don't have this wireless LAN, probably will not scale much. Means how many devices that you would like to connect, you cannot connect them every devices because your phones will not comes with Ethernet port, right? So it will comes with Wi-Fi. So then we need to have another kind of LAN network which is wireless LAN. Okay, so wireless LAN. So that's what we were mainly looking at here. So and IEEE have given defined a specification for this wireless LAN under this name under this convention, which is 802.11. Okay, where it covers giving the standards and the specification for physical layer and the data link layer. Okay, it's only gives the standards for the physical layer and the data link layer. Okay, so what we were mainly looking at in this presentation, the outline of this presentation covers about your 802.11 architecture, and we were discussing about your Mac layer standards and the specification. When it comes to Mac layer, we should know which was the access method we use and how the data should be organized. That is what the frame format, right? But above what we have, everything will be same. It's an IP packet. But when it comes to data link layer, you should have a standard and tells that how your data should be organized. Because organizing the data, formatting the data, and we call each what you format, we call them as frames. Based on that frames, you could able to interpret as the same at the receiver side, and that should be universal standard. Okay, what that IEEE has defined under this 8.11. Okay, okay, that we will look at here, and some addressing scheme. Addressing schemes probably quite different than what we saw in wired LAN, and also we were looking at physical layer specifications or the standards, physical layer standards. So what was the modulation technique, demodulation technique we used? There we would be using a line coding techniques, right? So in line coding, much of the line coding techniques may have a high bandwidth, but they won't give the self synchronization. Self synchronization, whenever you get a data streams, a long number of sequence, if you get 0 or 1, probably that may create a problem for receiver to get synchronizing what is the bit duration, okay, bit period. So in order to give the synchronization, we use something block encoding techniques. Either you may convert a 4 binary to 5 binary, or 4 bit to 5 bit. So you know that, right? Block coding technique. Something we use a common 3 steps in this block coding techniques. Something division, then substitution, then combination, right? Uh, uh, so this is what block coding technique is mainly used for this here in wired LAN for implementation. But here also, in with respect to physical layer, we would be using different modulation schemes and others in order to get higher data rate. Okay. So we will inspect each one of this. That is what mainly we were covering in this presentation. Okay. First, we will look at this basic architecture. Architecture means could be, I would say, the topology, how all these devices are can frame or may connect. Okay. First, we will define an architecture. Okay. So the standard actually defines, an IEEE standard defines, there are two kinds of services. Okay. One is BSS and other one is ESS. What I'm basically says how this network of wireless network can connect. Okay. So they can actually connected with a multiple. The building blocks of this wireless network is BSS. Is something called basic service set. Okay, and all these BSS are connected to another service set called as extended services. We call them as ESS. So we will try to understand it. What is basic service set? So IEEE 802.11 defines this basic service set as a building blocks of a wireless LAN. Okay. So this made in stationary or mobile wireless station and optional central base station, which is known as an access point. Okay. So BSS may have an access point, may not have an access point. If this BSS would have an access point, we call them as ad hoc network. Where it doesn't have, sorry, if it doesn't have an access point, we call them as ad hoc network. If it has an access network, then I would call them as infrastructure network or wireless, the wireless LAN I can call them. Okay. If your basic service set having an AP access point, we just call them as infrastructure network, or I could call them as a part of a wireless network. Okay. Having this multiple BSS, I would call typically I would call them as wireless LAN. So this is a part of a wireless LAN. We call them as BSS. Having multiple BSS within each BSS having an access point, we call them as what you call wireless LAN. Okay. If you don't have an access point, that BSS can forms a network as well. That is what we call ad hoc network. So what you mean by that? So how you pair your phone with another phone with Bluetooth. So that network I would call them as wireless, but it's an ad hoc network. Okay. So there will be no central device which takes your data and forward to a proper intended destination. Here you could in ad hoc network you may pair with point to point or with on based on relay node. What do you mean by relay node? Is an intermediate node which would also be an host, but some part of time it will do the job of taking a data from a sender and sending that to a receiver. Okay, so that is what is called as ad hoc network. Okay, let me show you that what is that ad hoc network and all. Okay, you can see in this diagram, so you could more understand what is called ad hoc network and what you call an infrastructure network, or a part of a portion of a network in your WLAN. Okay, WLAN should understand is a wireless LAN. Okay, you can see this would be a region or area where some devices host were there, and all these were connected. All these were peered. I don't know how they were peered. By using some wireless protocol, they are connected, and means if this wants to send a data to here, either if this host both were in the same coverage area, so they could send their data directly, isn't it? They could send their data directly, or if this destination is not there, so probably and over the neighbors which is there to this coverage area, they would send that data to them, so that this station will helps to forward that data to intended destination if that destination is in the coverage of your relay node. Okay, here there will be no specific device which sits at center, which takes off forwarding of data from a source to all other destination which is in this area of coverage. Okay, so that is what, if you don't have this access point, then I would call them as ad hoc network. Okay, probably you may have a service to create. I think if you go and visit network and sharing center, let me show you here. Open a network and sharing center. If you go here, okay. When I visited here, probably when I go to change something, sharing option, wireless, Wi-Fi. Okay, manage known networks, something, change advanced adapter, show available network, hotspot. Okay, just a second. Okay, if I go to here in network and internet, if I visit to this point, okay, network and sharing center. Okay, here if you would see, change your network settings. Okay, otherwise you can see set up a new connection or a new network. Once I click here, there will be so many other options. Connect to an internet, set up a new network, manually connect to a wireless network, or connect to a workspace. So this is what kind of a VPN connection to a workplace. Okay, VPN, when you are connect to your office network, probably you would use this. And if you want to create like manually, if your software or your operating system not recognize if something wireless signals, probably you may manually connect. This option will help to. It will ask what would be your SSID and what will be your password. If you could give manually, probably it may find and it may connect it manually. Okay, and this is to connect broadband services, something dial-up. You might be using DSL, digital subscriber line, or modem kind of connection, broadband kind of connection. Here is an option to connect. There is another option. You can see set up a new network, set up a new router or an access point. If I click here and I click on next, okay. So here it happens. It will choose a wireless router or access point that wants to connect to configure. Okay, so either like if you would make this host as a hoster, okay, and if you create a wireless network here, so other would go for this, and if they wait for some time, they will recognize is there any one who they hosted as an creating an ad hoc network. Okay, let us say there will be four laptop which is kept in next to next itself, and one will be setting a new network, and all other if they go with this, they will able to see who was created and what was the name and its thing, and they can select, and if they go and click and next and connect, all these ports were connected in that network, connected in the wireless, and they form a network, wireless LAN. Okay, but here there will be no access point in center to send and receive a data. So even though they were connected, all of them, so either they could send immediately, okay, immediately to the destination, or it may send to a relay network, relay node, so that this relay node will send that data to an intended destination. Like this, if I would say this is your source and this is your destination, probably this would be acts as a relay node. So this node will send the data to a relay node, where relay node will send the data to here. Because this relay node is in the coverage of both this sender coverage, sender station, and it would also in the coverage of receiver station. But sender and the receiver will not in the coverage area. Okay, where this relay node will acts as an access point temporarily. So this network we would call them as an ad hoc network. Okay, is it clear? So you should know the difference of an ad hoc network and the wireless network LAN. Okay, but here you could see in infrastructure LAN, so where we would be having a BSS and the access point. There will be one device which kept at the center, and this will be acts as an access point. Okay, wireless access point. I think you may go and see in our college itself. We will be placing all this in the wall in the top. So that is actually an access point. Where this access point is connected, it is actually going to connect to your wired LAN. So that's why I said you would not see the complete network either will be wired or it will completely be wireless. It is mixture of both the things. I would say like complete network might be 80, like 70% of network might be wired, and 30% of network might be wireless. Because the wireless is only an access network. From here, where a devices who belongs to this coverage, only those devices were connected. This is only just an access to a device and to this network. Okay, the rest backbone network, what I would call them as, it is completely wired network. Even you, whatever you see your mobile's cellular network, it is only wireless for where, from your mobile to the tower what you would have. It's actually an access network. From there, all your networks like your towers were connected to wired optical fibers. Okay. So this is what we call as BSS. BSS is just a building block. It's one part of a wireless LAN, where in BSS it might have some stations, wirelessly enabled station. Okay, like Wi-Fi enabled station, and with that we have an access point. So that is what we call as one BSS. Having this multiple BSS and all of them are interconnected, so we call them as ESS. This is what extended service set. Okay, there is a distributed system. Okay, I would call this as WLC, wireless controller. So if you want to see that, you have to visit our CS building. There is a server room. In that server room, I think you would be able to see this wireless controller kept. And we were using Motorola. So we are completely our access point as well as your mic, what you call wireless controller is from the Motorola company. Okay. So there, from here, is actually connected to our existing wired LAN, and from wherever you kept this access point could be gone through with the same switch, or it might be uh, gone through with different switches. Okay, probably what you would see an access point in our network, like in our networking lab, that may connected to the switch which is kept near to there itself. Okay. Similarly, when it comes to EV building, in EV building also we have some distributed. Totally in our campus, we have 200 access points, and this will not cover the whole college. Okay, it only some partial coverage it may give. Probably you may go an EMPA and bank. You will not get this what do you call Wi-Fi connection. Probably would only get in this like school, like classrooms and labs. Okay, and probably whatever a new building which is getting ready in our CS building. So there majorly we were planning out and we were giving this wireless itself, because since they're made for different purpose, something like innovation lab, cyber security lab, probably giving a wired LAN because no, most of them are not used. How many would, how many of you are from, like, you are using a laptop? How many of you are connected to wired? It's very less, right? Then the usability of wired network will be very less. But what if you would use a wired? Probably you will get a desired bandwidth, this and what you call quality of service would be good. But as the users would be more, wireless may not be give high speed or whatever the quality the service that you would expect. It may not be same, since it is also being shared environment. If more users were there, then the speed of the network may be reduced. Okay, so you can see we were designed in such a way where BSS should not be completely isolated. If this isolate, then what will happen when you move from this BSS to an outside, your connection will be get dropped. So you can see here. So the BSS is designed in such a way where it should be get somewhere some overlap from each BSS, so that you can, even if you move from this point to this point, so your network will not get dropped. So it is something like a cellular network itself. Cellular network, we used to use an hexagon, right? Hexagon. Here we use something like circular. We are representing that what was the area of coverage by this access point. Okay, so I'll just tell you how you do this, how you design this wireless network. So we have some tools by uploading the layout diagram of your infrastructure itself, like that would be enough itself to tell from where and where you should keep this access point. Okay, which also gives much results, like what was the performance if you would place like this, or what was the interference, everything it will gives. Okay, I'll just show you that later, uh, how you can design. And earlier they might be not following all such things. Okay, so they will decide wherever they need an wireless connection, they'll simply place an access point. But we should not do like that right now. Okay, if you do like that, only the area of region that covers, only if you are in that area, you will get the connect, like able to connect, able to access. Otherwise, you will not able to access it. Okay, and this distributed connected system would be connected to where, could be a server, or it could be connected to our typical wired LAN. In wired LAN, you might have a server or any gateway, something like that. So this is what we call as ESS, extended service set. Okay. The next one comes to this data link layer. So 802.11 standards. So with respect to this MAC layer and the physical layer. Okay, physical layer, we will be having different standards and specification. Okay, and this is was the original standard, which is 802.11. Then after we would having different specification with amendment with that original standard, and by changing its modulation, or it could be different modulation techniques, and we were able to get higher data rate with that uh, changes what we made with this 802.11 original standard. Could be A, B, N, G, like that. Okay, so we will look at each of this, but we will not going to understand in detail. I'll just give you a summary of all these things, what with respect to each of this amendment, what like the changes what we made with respect to this original physical specification, original standard specification of 802.11. Okay. Okay, so probably when we're discussing about MAC layer, it's just what we said. It's going to be like access method, and it would also defines how the frame format should be. Okay, organizing of data, and we call them as a frame, right? And when it comes to this LLC, the LLC it kept same. Okay, if you need more understanding and what was the specification is defined by IEEE, you can go and refer this particular part. Okay, whatever data to dot one. This is the standard. This documentation, if you go and search, you can able to get what was the standards or specification that defined for this LLC. Okay, but it's not that to an intended one. This will be kept for same, and what we looked at in wired as well as the wireless. Okay. When comes to this sub MAC layer, so they made again two parts in this MAC layer, which defines this what is called an access method. So there is called DCF and there is something called PCF. So what do you mean by DCF? DCF is nothing but distributed coordination function. So that is what we call distributed coordination function. Is what actually CSMA bar CA. It's used as CSMA bar CA. But PCF is actually an access method which is used on the infrastructure. Okay, so just I'll tell you that. So this is actually an access method which will be used as CSMA bar CA for all the station, and they decide which station has to send, have the rights to send, because each station has to sense the channel, and if they were idle, they should follow the persistence method. After that, not a persistence method. After that, we have something CSMA bar CA refers. There should be following of interference space, and then something called contention window. Then then it has then it has an acknowledgement mechanism, right? Where a PCF is an optional access method used on the infrastructure, mainly typically on an access point, I would say. It mainly used a polling as an access method, which defines a time sensitive accessing of by a host to an access point to forward the data onto a wired, like the backbone network where they were connected. So they used to pull all this, the stations which were connected in this WLAN, who were all having a data to send. So that is what the time sensitive, and which is a contention free service. If you would have this, probably in this duration, it is actually we call them as contention free service. If we don't have this PCF, probably we would call them as contention service. So this is the only change we were made with respect to, not a change, we were trying to define them like that, which is as PCF and DCF. DCF we just like we should think of, it is a CSMA bar CA itself, and PCF is like another optional access method which is used on top of an infrastructure level, where an access point will define among the stations after the following CSMA which one would have a permission for the transmission among that multiple stations who are participating or sending of data with one access point. Okay, that we typically use a pooling method. Okay, that is what we call point coordination function. Okay, so the next I will just show you what was the flow diagram which changed with respect to this IEEE was standard. Okay, it's same what we discussed CSMA in flow diagram in the previous class, the second unit. You can see we initially set your backup algorithm as 0. We use a persistence method. So here, so we said IFS, right? IFS here, in terms specifically, I call them as DFI, DIFS. DIFS means distributed interference space. Waiting of that frame, okay? Waiting of this slots, okay? So waiting of this slots, then you send an RTS, okay? So RTS is something request to send. Okay, this is what we call request to send. Okay, let me tell you that after they were following this IFS, DIFS, there is an exchange, like control message exchange between your access, like your host to then access point. Okay, so not an access point, it means whole to an BSS. So means the sender will gonna send an RTS to a receiver, okay, through an access point, it's something like that, and where receiver will send that CTS, clear to send. So why we were using this an handshaking between a sender and a receiver here, because of avoiding a problem of hidden station problem. Okay, there is a problem which would arise having all this, considering like BSS and ESS station architecture of a wireless. There might be a chance of hidden station problem may arise, that to overcome this hidden station problem, so we were using something an handshaking method between a sender and a receiver is sender will send a request to send. If a receiver will ready to receive, then it will send a clear to send. That's it. Okay, so that later I will explain it why I use this RTS and CTS. So just keep that in mind. That will be enough for this point. Here we'll send an RTS and there will be a timer. With that timer, if you would get an CTS, okay, if that is yes, then you will wait for a short interference space. This is again another random time you will be waiting for interference space. Interference space means time you are giving some other station might already been transmitted the data to reach their destination. That is what IFS, and this is a small period of time. Okay, and then you send a data, then again you set a timer. Within the timer, what is this timer? Timer should be 2 TP. You should minimally wait for 2 TP. If that acknowledgement comes, then it would be successful. If not, increment your K value, check for some time. If that would happen, then abort the session. If not, then you wait for random time. Again, you go with from the initial. So this is what a complete the flow chart of your CSMA. Okay. If I would ask this, either this diagram or that diagram, if you write, both were correct. Either if you would have write this, it's good. If you're not written this and if you're written that simple one, that would also fine. Okay. If you're not CTS is received, then you'll again increment that variable and check that maximum attempt. Increment, use a backup algorithm, go back and do the same thing. Okay, the same flowchart diagram, but what we made saying here, instead of IFS we would call them as DIFS. So DIFS will have a two timers, random time. One is DIFS. Sorry, IFS have here in distributed coordinate function as DIFS and SIFS. So these were the two waiting time with respect to this interference space. So after this DFS followed by the station, then it will send an RTS and wait for a CTS. After that CTS, it will wait for short time of interference space. Then it will send the frame and it will wait for the what you call acknowledgement. Okay, probably I'll show you this flow chart. I think you would understand better. Okay, after a source completing its DAFS, after it completes its DAFS, it will send an RTS to check whether a destination is ready to receive or not. If it is yes, then this would also follow interference space. Why this interference space? After any destination, like not only destination, some other host in this BSS might also receive this RTS. Okay, if that RTS is not indented to it, okay, it should not. See, all other stations should be in network allocated vector. This is actually what we call the duration of time where all other station in that specific BSS should be in reference state. Means should not send any of this data during this time. No carrier sensing or no sending of any of the data, because a source, some source will be sending its an RTS to a destination to transfer their data. So after it sends, destination will wait for this small amount of time and complete this FIS. Means this will give space this RTS to get reach all other station in this PSS. If this would not wait for this time, a short time, so probably that may again, if it sends in CTS, that may get overlapped with this RTS, which been still not received. It will not send to one particular some other station in the same BSS. So that where a destination what it receives, it will wait for short IFS time, then it will send some CTS. This makes short of IFS time waiting by this station will gives all this RTS to get reached to the all other station in the same BSS. Okay, after it sends an CTS is received, the source will again wait for this short time, then later it will send the data. Again after this, it might wait for short time, then it will send an acknowledgement. During this process, this complete process, your all other station in that BSS should be what? Should be in idle state. They should not send or they should not sense the carrier at any time during this time at all. So after this time, acknowledgement received. So every stations will complete this timer. This is what NAV and network allocation vector. It's actually what you call a timer. So where this timer tells the stations how long they should not sense the carrier or they should not send the data. After they complete this timer, again they can be like a normal station. They can send their data if they have. By again they will doing this process. Okay, is it clear? Okay, you can see here something they have given an example of repetition intervals. Okay, there were so many stations are there. I don't know how many stations were there, and to this all station I have one access point. Access point will have a common channel. Okay, and where in this channel you should decide how I should accommodate all these frames sent by each of the station. Okay. Okay, so there is an access method used by an access point, right? This is what pooling. I just said that this access point will pool all the station which has the data to send. So means pooling means what? It is something it would follows of PAFS. It is also following something PAFS. PAFS is a time duration which gives this access point to get pool all the station. Okay, there is another special type of frame we use, which is called beacon frames. Beacon frames, during this contention free time, if this beacon frames is always starts at beginning, which defines all other stations should, out of this pool station, some one station will get, whoever is sitting at the first, they will get a chance to send. Here, this will sit at first, so that this station will get chance to send the data. So that beginning of that contention free slot, so first it will, this AP will send a beacon frame. As it send a beacon frame, so all other station in this pooling who are participating in pooling, they should start this NAV. NAV means this is a time period where all other stations should be reframed. Okay, after this, the same thing. Short period they would wait, then they will pool, then they will again the short period they would wait, and then acknowledgement or pay data. Again a short time they will wait, then acknowledgement. Along with that they would pool, and they will send this this data. Okay, pooling is something would they will define which will be the next to send here. After this will be a contention slot, and this will be the repeating interval. And this interval, this is one interval, and this would be repeated again and again. Next. Okay, this is what exactly your 802.11 was, and this is what your access method, the standard we defined for your access method with respect to our wireless LAN. I'll just show you an animation with respect to this CSMA. Okay. You can also just go and search CSMA or CA. Okay, and give an animation. Okay, give this word in your Google. Okay, and go to the first one, first website link, CSMA bar CA. Okay, it's same like what I shown you in stop and wait or like sliding window protocol, GPN and SR. Similarly, like here, you don't link it like there is an without an hidden terminal or hidden station or with hidden station. I'll teach you that later. But here you can think of there will be an access point. You can see I can't write it here. You can just see my where I'm moving my pointer. Access point. There will be 3 stations for participating. Okay, and you can see the legend, the color of packet, what it will tell. RTS, CTS, data frame, acknowledgement, channel free, channel busy, channel considerably busy, countdown. Okay, no frames if that is white. Okay, then you click start. As you start, you can see there will be this countdown start means the channel will be free. And if you click on this, any station, it will queue one data. So this is what RTS has been sent, RTS, and here one, what is that? This is what the data is sent by station C, and this is what the CTS which is get from the access point. And this duration is channel is busy because it's carrying the data, and this duration would also channel is busy because it would be carrying an acknowledgement. So as you send, you can also get that things what is happening at there. And if you click simply there, what was the like data how they would send, and you just check, see this time how this would happen, and check. And this is one interval what you send which is gone, and that would be repeated for every packet which is sent by other station. Okay, which has been sent by another station. See, now C would be carrying, and this interval from here to here, this would again repeat for every other stations after each of the station would complete this data being transmitted. Okay, see, after here, again this will be repeating. This is how I clicked on here, which station should send, and this is a timeline for an what is your access. This duration is not been sent, and this duration is blocked for station C to send its data. Is it clear? You just go and look at this. See, there will be timer. Timer, you see, station A started a timer called 43 something, and B will not be started. So it has to wait for this time so that it will not send. B will be sending, and if I click, C would also have data to send. So this is how your. You can also see the packet of exchange here. Station will be sent an RTS to access point, and station B send an RTS to an access point and sent by 21 like that. And each exchange will be named with this number like 18, 18, 17 like that. You can go and search that 0, 1, 2, 3 like that. You can see here. This is how your CSN node works. Okay, is that clear? If you're not understand, you go and see in detail. If you not understand, you can ask me. Okay, the next part is understanding about your frame format. Okay, the frame format would not be the same what we discussed in 802.3 or what you connect. Here, the frame frame format for wireless, we call them as 802.11, would be different compared with your which one? Your 802.3 frame format, or MAC frame format, or your Ethernet frame format. Okay, so this is what how you are organizing the data when we take our wireless network. Okay, so this is how we are organizing, and we have different fields in this format, frame format. First one is frame control field. It's of 2 bytes, and we have D field, which is of 2 bytes, and we have 4 addresses: address 1, address 2, address 3, address 4. All these addresses are your MAC address only, but I'll just tell you what is this address 1 is referred for, what is this address 2 is referred for, 3 and 4. All these address bytes are 6 bytes. The size of the addresses are 6 bytes, and there is sequence control which is called SC, which is of 2 bytes, and this is your data portion, the payload, which is starts from 0 to 23 12 bytes. This what we the maximum byte we were using in wireless. Okay, since we were not detecting the collision, so that it will not be restricted for 1500. It would be more. It would be some minimum 0 to 23 12 bytes of data. Okay, and we have something called FCS, could be a CRC. We have 4 bytes of data. Okay, in FC, in frame control, again this 2 bytes again will be organized or in this format. Okay, 2 bytes means 16 bits. 16 bit means 2 to 4, 4 plus 8, 8. Here it's 8, 2 bytes. So first in frame control, first field would be like out of this 18 bits, the first 2 bits represents what was the protocol version we use. Now the protocol version is 0 only. I'll tell you that later in next class. I'll just tell you. I'll finish off this, and each of this field I'll explain in detail in next class. And it will define a type of 2 bytes, subtype. Subtype means because so we would be having RTS, CTS, all this RTS, CTS, and acknowledgement or belongs to a type of control frame. We call this as control frame. This is a type, and we have a data type, data frame, and there is another type frame called information frame. Sorry, management frame. Okay, another set of frames are used for network management. Okay, so that is what we would call them as management frames. There is a different types of frames in frames were there. One is control, data, and the management. There were three types. Out of the each type, we would having different subtype. Like in control frames, I have CTS, RTS, and acknowledgement. So for that to know, here we have two bits for type, because I would have three only, so that I could enough with having two bits 00011011. One would be used for later if you would have any other types of things. Subtypes would be four, probably yeah, to define all these subtypes of in that each type of field. Okay, then there will be each all these fields will be 1 bit field, 2DS, from DS, more flag, retry, power management, more data, web for security, and reserved. This would be reserved for later. 2DS means towards the distributed system, from DS from distributed system to host, like that. So we have some addressing mechanism to these two. So based on these two field, this 2DS and from DS, where this address field will decide which address I should kept in address 1, address 2, address 3, address 4. Because now it would also deals with access point address MAC address, and your MAC address, and destination MAC address, and the destination IP MAC address. So that's why we have 4 addresses here. And all this tells more flag. Is there any fragmentation? How many retransmission times it will be attempted? Is there any power management? For that we have 1 bit, and more data, which tells after you doing the fragmentation. Here we do the fragmentation. Fragmentation means we are not going to send huge frame data. Instead, we do the fragment and we restrict the frame size, because if something is lost, instead of sending the whole large data, I could have sent a small data, which will be very easier to sending of the large data if there is something error will be happening. And this will be web will give the security encryption, and this would be result. So later we will discuss inspect each of this field and will understand in detail what all these fields are mainly used for and what is the function of each of these fields. Any doubts so far you could ask? You can ask now if you have any doubts.